If you believe in the protective power of the cross, comment Amen right now. Millions of Catholic homes worldwide display crucifixes, believing they bring divine protection to their families. But what if I revealed that Padre Pío, one of the most venerated saints of the 20th century, uncovered 5 signs that your crucifix might be doing the exact opposite? Instead of protecting, it could be opening spiritual doorways you never knew existed. Padre Pío was no ordinary saint. For 50 years, he bore the stigmata of Christ on his own body, wounds that bled daily as living testimony to the crucifixion. He had the gift of reading souls, of seeing beyond the veil that separates the physical world from the spiritual. And it was precisely this extraordinary ability that allowed him to identify the 5 deadly mistakes that transform protection into vulnerability. In this video, you'll discover exactly 3 things that can save your home's spiritual protection. First, the 5 danger signs that Padre Pío identified through his supernatural gifts. Second, how each specific mistake nullifies the crucifix's protection and invites negative forces. And third, the exact correction protocol he left behind to transform your home into a spiritual fortress. If you recognize any of these signs, it's not too late to take action. The first sign of spiritual danger is related to something most people don't even consider important. And it's precisely this negligence that opens the floodgates to devastating spiritual vulnerabilities. Padre Pío was resolute about one crucial point. An unconsecrated crucifix is not merely ineffective, it's potentially hazardous. Consider this carefully. The cross is not a mere decoration or good luck token. It symbolizes the most profound sacrifice in human history. Without formal consecration by an ordained priest, this cross remains nothing more than an ordinary object, a piece of wood or metal devoid of spiritual protection. And here's the scary part. An unconsecrated religious symbol can function as an unprotected conduit. It's like leaving your front door ajar during the night. You don't see the danger immediately, but you're inviting something to enter. In the spiritual world, objects that should be sacred but haven't been properly blessed can attract exactly the negative energies you're trying to repel. Thousands of families report that after properly blessing their crucifixes, spiritual disturbances that lasted for months simply disappeared. The difference between a common object and a channel of divine protection lies exactly in this consecration. So how do you identify if your cross has this first danger sign? Ask yourself, was your crucifix blessed by a priest? Were you present during the blessing? Do you know exactly when and where this happened? If the answer to any of these questions is no, or I'm not sure, then you need to act immediately. Many people purchase crucifixes from stores, online retailers, or receive them as gifts, then casually hang them on walls, assuming they inherently possess divine protection. This is a grave error. It's akin to expecting a lock to secure your home without the key to activate it. The priestly blessing is that crucial key. Without it, your crucifix provides no spiritual safeguard, leaving you dangerously exposed. The consequences are far from inconsequential. Padre Pío bore witness to numerous families plagued by inexplicable disturbances, recurring nightmares, overwhelming sensations of oppression, all stemming from unconsecrated crucifixes displayed with sincere devotion. What should have been a protected sanctuary became a spiritual vulnerability, an open invitation to wandering negative influences seeking such breaches. But there is a solution, and it's simpler than you imagine. Take your crucifix to your parish and ask the priest to formally bless it. This sacred rite takes no more than a few minutes, but its spiritual impact is immense. During the blessing, the priest invokes divine protection over the object, transforming it from a simple symbol into a true spiritual shield. You will feel the difference. The energy in your home will change, and you will finally have the peace of mind, knowing that the protection you seek is truly activated. Remember this, an unconsecrated crucifix is like a soldier sent into battle without armor. It might appear functional, But when confronted with a genuine spiritual challenge, you'll quickly realize its profound vulnerability. Now, if you've already corrected this first vulnerability or discovered that your cross is properly blessed, feel momentary relief. But don't relax completely yet, because the second danger sign identified by Padre Pío is even more common and equally devastating. This second mistake is related not to what the crucifix is, but to how you treat it. And millions of devout Catholics commit this error every day, without the slightest idea of the spiritual damage they're causing. Padre Pío taught that sacred objects require constant reverence, not just in the moment you acquire them or hang them on the wall, but on each subsequent day. The cross is not a sentimental keepsake that you can neglect. It's a sacred presence that demands ongoing respect. The specific mistake: disrespectful placement and treatment. And this takes many different forms, each of them equally problematic. Did you place your crucifix in a location where it's surrounded by worldly distractions? Is it hanging above the television, where you watch programs that contradict Christian values? Is it relegated to a hallway where no one truly notices it, reduced to mere decoration? Even worse, is it positioned in an environment fraught with heated arguments, profanity, or persistent immoral behavior? Each of these situations sends a clear message to the spiritual world. This symbol is not truly valued here. And when the cross is dishonored, even if unconsciously, the divine protection it should offer begins to withdraw. Families who reposition their crucifixes to places of honor report immediate transformations. The atmosphere of the house changed within days, shares Emily, a mother of 3. Arguments decreased, sleep improved. It was as if a peace descended upon our family. Father Pio specifically cautioned against dusty, damaged, or forgotten crucifixes. A cross covered in dust, he warned, is a cross that has been abandoned. Such a neglected sacred object becomes a spiritual void, ready to be occupied by far more malevolent forces. So do this exercise with me now, mentally. Where is your crucifix? Can you visualize it clearly? When was the last time you actually looked at it with attention, with devotion, with reverence? If you needed more than 3 seconds to answer that question, there's already a problem. Disrespectful treatment also includes the physical way you maintain the crucifix. Is it crooked on the wall and you never bother to straighten it? Is it broken or cracked and you keep postponing the repair? Is it in a location so high or so low that it demonstrates a lack of consideration for its meaning? These details matter profoundly. In the spiritual realm, physical actions are direct reflections of inner realities. A poorly maintained crucifix is more than a mere object. It's a manifestation of a neglected faith. When your visible faith falls into disarray, your spiritual protection inevitably follows. The consequences are not abstract. They are viscerally real and tangible. Father Pio documented numerous cases of families experiencing an inexplicable erosion of domestic harmony. Small irritations metastasizing into substantial conflicts without apparent cause, an ambient discomfort suffusing every interaction. In most such instances, his spiritual investigation revealed a common thread: a household crucifix that had been positioned disrespectfully or systematically ignored for years. The solution: start right now. Don't wait until after this video. Mentally commit to 3 practical actions. First, choose a truly honorable location for your crucifix. A central place in the home where it can be seen, contemplated, and respected. The wall opposite the main entrance is traditionally ideal, as it blesses all who enter. The prayer room, if you have one, is perfect. Above the headboard in the master bedroom is also appropriate, as long as the space is kept in order and reverence. Second, establish a care routine. Once a week, clean the crucifix with a soft cloth. It's not just about physical cleanliness, it's an act of devotion. While you clean, pray briefly, give thanks for the protection. Renew your commitment to the faith that the symbol represents. Third, correct any damage immediately. If the crucifix is broken, repair it or replace it. Don't let a damaged sacred object remain in your home, sending signals of negligence to the spiritual world. When you honor the cross with genuine reverence, a profound transformation occurs in your surrounding environment. The atmosphere becomes not just lighter, but almost ethereally peaceful. Problems that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve organically. The divine protection, which had been silently receding due to neglect, returns not merely restored, but amplified with remarkable intensity. Now let's continue with these critical revelations, because these first two signs, as important as they are only the surface. Padre Pío identified 3 additional dangers that most people completely ignore. And the third sign is particularly shocking because it involves something that millions of Catholics do every day without the slightest idea of the spiritual risk they're running. And it's not about something obviously wrong or superstitious. No, it's a practice that seems completely harmless, even virtuous. But Father Pío discovered, through his extraordinary gifts of spiritual discernment, that this specific habit can transform your crucifix from a protective shield into something far more dangerous. You've already protected your home from the first 2 dangers that Father Pío identified. But now comes something he considered even more insidious, because these next signs are completely invisible to most of the faithful. Many families realize too late. By the time they discovered it, the damage had already been felt for months, sometimes years. And the most alarming thing is that it was all happening right before their eyes, but in such a subtle way that it went unnoticed. Let me reveal the third sign that Father Pío specifically warned his spiritual children about. He called it spiritual contamination by secondary exposure. And it works in a way you would never imagine. You know, when you position your crucifix on the wall with all care, with all reverence, you choose the perfect location, you bless it, you pray before it. Everything is correct, right? But here's what Father Pío discovered through his supernatural gifts. The crucifix doesn't exist in spiritual isolation. It interacts energetically with everything around it. Imagine the following situation. Your crucifix is in the living room, positioned with love and devotion. But right next to it, on the same wall or the same shelf, you have objects that carry negative spiritual residues. It could be a travel souvenir bought at an antique market. It could be a gift from someone who was going through a moment of deep bitterness. It could be a decorative object that belonged to people whose lives were marked by tragedies or dense energies. And what happens? The crucifix, instead of radiating pure protection for your home, begins to absorb and process these negative energies. It becomes a conductor of danger, not protection. Father Pío used to tell his spiritual children, examine what is close to the crucifix. The sacred should not share space with the contaminated profane. Let me share with you a real case that perfectly illustrates this danger. Sarah, a 42-year-old elementary school teacher, had always been a devout Catholic. A beautiful crucifix hung in her living room, a treasured inheritance from her grandmother, a sacred object steeped in family history and profound faith. But Sarah began to notice something strange. Despite praying daily, despite living her faith sincerely, her home felt heavy. Family arguments increased. Her teenage son became inexplicably rebellious. Even the family's sleep was affected, with recurring nightmares. She sought spiritual guidance, and it was then that a priest, a disciple of Father Pío's teachings, visited her home. And he noticed immediately, next to the crucifix on the same shelf, Sarah had an African sculpture that she had bought years before at a craft fair. Beautiful, exotic, interesting. But that piece had been used in previous rituals. It carried a dense negative spiritual charge. The crucifix was fighting against that energy, trying to neutralize it. But in the process, its ability to protect the family was completely compromised. The solution was clear. The priest instructed Sarah to remove that sculpture from the proximity of the crucifix, to purify it with holy water and exorcised salt, and to reposition it in another environment after a specific blessing. You know what happened in less than a week? The atmosphere of the house changed completely. Arguments decreased drastically. Her son began to calm down. Sleep returned to normal. Thousands of families report similar transformations when they correct this specific error. So ask yourself this question right now. What is close to your crucifix? What objects share that sacred space? Because Father Pío taught that the crucifix needs strategic spiritual isolation, not complete physical isolation, but a zone of protection around it, free from objects that might carry contrary energies. The ritual solution he recommended was simple but powerful. First, examine everything within 1 yard of your crucifix. Investigate the origin, history, and energetic resonance of each object. When in doubt, remove it. Second, purify that space with holy water, creating a circle of protection around the crucifix. Third, establish a rule. That space is exclusively sacred. Nothing but blessed objects or naturally pure items, such as fresh flowers or consecrated candles, should share that zone. Many faithful who applied this purification report feeling an immediate change. It's as if a weight was lifted from the house, they describe. Protection finally flows without obstacles. This is spiritual contamination by secondary exposure. Father Pío's third sign. But if you thought the danger was subtle, prepare yourself. The fourth sign is perhaps the most shocking because it involves something you do every day without realizing it. In his spiritual direction, Father Pío constantly emphasized the importance of daily reverence. Not just reverence in moments of formal prayer, but in every interaction with the sacred. And here is the error he repeatedly identified: touching the crucifix without reverence, passing by it without acknowledgement. Think about how many times a day you pass in front of your crucifix. Walking through the living room, doing your household activities, talking on the phone, watching television. You simply pass by. You don't look. You don't acknowledge. You don't revere. Father Pío explained that each time we do this, we are sending a spiritual message. We are saying that that sacred object is common, ordinary, part of the decoration. And when the sacred is treated as common, it loses power. It's a profound spiritual principle that most people are completely unaware of. The power of sacred objects lies not only in the blessing they received, but also in the continuous reverence we dedicate to them. A crucifix treated casually gradually becomes just an object. The protection it offers diminishes. The blessings it radiates weaken. Father Pío used to tell his spiritual children, if you pass before the crucified without acknowledging him, how can you expect him to acknowledge your needs? Listen to this story that perfectly illustrates this danger. Michael, a 38-year-old accountant, had a crucifix at the entrance of his home. Day after day, he passed by it without a second glance, leaving for work, returning home dozens of times each week, hundreds of times each month. But he never stopped, never looked. Never made a sign of the cross, never murmured a quick prayer. It was just part of the wall. Michael began to feel that despite having faith, despite attending Mass on Sundays, his spiritual life was empty, without strength, as if his prayers didn't reach anywhere. It was during a spiritual retreat that he first heard Father Pío's profound teaching. In that moment, something profound resonated deep within his mind. He returned home determined to change. From that day on, every time he passed by the crucifix at the entrance, he would stop for 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds. He would make the sign of the cross and murmur, "Jesus, protect this home and all who dwell here." 3 seconds. No more than that, but with genuine reverence. You know what Michael noticed within a few weeks? His prayers gained strength. The feeling of spiritual emptiness disappeared. It's as if God is finally truly hearing me, he shared. Countless faithful believers report similar transformative experiences. When they corrected this specific spiritual oversight and began to genuinely acknowledge the crucifix in their daily life, something profound shifted in their spiritual landscape. Prayers gained power. The protection of the home became palpable. The presence of Christ became comforting and real. Because daily reverence activates the power of the sacred. So audit your habits right now. How do you interact with the crucifix in your home? Do you pass by it as if it were invisible? Or do you acknowledge it, revere it, honor it? Father Pío taught a simple protocol of daily reverence. First, every time you intentionally pass before the crucifix, stop for a moment. It can be just 3 seconds. Second, make the sign of the cross with full attention, not mechanically. Third, say a short prayer. It can be just, Jesus, I trust in you, or Lord, protect my family. Fourth, look at the crucifix. Really look. Acknowledge the presence of the sacred. This is the ritual of reverence that transforms the common into the extraordinary, that activates the maximum protection of the crucifix in your home. This is the fourth sign that Father Pío considered critical. Ritualistic errors in daily interaction. Prepare yourself, because what follows will radically transform everything you've just understood. You already know 4 of the 5 critical signs. You've learned how to protect your home from invisible spiritual dangers that silently affect millions of Catholic families worldwide. But the 5th and final sign, this is the most pivotal revelation of all. It's the only thing that determines whether your crucifix becomes your family's greatest protection or greatest vulnerability. What I'm about to reveal will completely transform the way you understand the crucifix in your home. Because this last sign involves an error that 90% of Catholics commit without knowing. And when you correct this final error, when you apply Father Pío's complete teaching, your home will be transformed into an impenetrable spiritual fortress. Stay with me, because what comes now is absolutely essential for your family's protection. The 5th sign brings together everything Father Pío taught about spiritual protection. After decades of battle against dark forces, after witnessing countless miracles and also protection failures, he discovered the single factor that determines whether your crucifix protects or puts your home in danger. And it has nothing to do with the crucifix itself. It's about what's in your heart when you look at it. Father Pío said something that should be engraved in every believer's mind. The crucifix has no power where there is no faith and reverence. That's the truth that changes everything. Because you can have a crucifix blessed by a bishop, placed in the perfect spot, spiritually cleansed with holy water, and still have no protection at all. If you treat the crucifix as a lucky charm, as a magical object that automatically wards off evil, you are profaning something sacred. And profanation opens spiritual doors that should remain closed. The 5th sign is about detecting superstition, masquerading as genuine faith. It emerges when someone possesses a crucifix without any meaningful connection to its profound spiritual significance. It manifests when you anticipate automatic divine protection without experiencing a true transformation of the heart. It occurs when the crucifix degenerates from a sacred symbol into a mere talisman, stripped of Christ's living, transformative presence. Father Pío saw this constantly. People came to him desperate, saying that even with crucifixes at home, they still suffered spiritual attacks. And when he investigated, he always discovered the same thing: dead faith. Non-existent reverence, a sacred object treated as decoration or superstition. Spiritual reality works like this. Divine protection flows through true faith, not through magical thinking. The crucifix is a channel, not a battery. It needs to be connected to the source of power through your heart so that grace can flow. Without genuine faith, it's just wood and metal. And here's the scary part. This 5th sign determines all the others. Because without the correct posture of the heart, the corrections of the previous signs are completely useless. You can bless the crucifix 1,000 times, place it in the most strategic location, spiritually cleanse it every week, say daily prayers. But if there is no true faith and reverence, all of this is spiritual theater. So ask yourself now, with complete honesty, what is your real relationship with what the crucifix represents? When you look at it, do you see Christ and his sacrifice, or do you see an object of automatic protection? Do you cultivate living faith, or do you just expect magical results? This self-assessment is the most important of all, because it reveals whether your home is truly protected or just decorated with empty symbols. Now see how the 5th sign completely transforms the understanding of the other 4. A crucifix without proper blessing is dangerous, but a blessed crucifix without true faith is equally useless. A crucifix placed in the wrong location loses effectiveness, but placed correctly, without reverence, gains none. A spiritually contaminated crucifix attracts negative forces, but even a clean one doesn't protect if the heart is spiritually dead. Father Pío wasn't teaching magical rituals. He was teaching authentic spiritual transformation. The complete protection protocol he left for us unites all 5 elements: appropriate blessing, reverent placement, regular spiritual cleansing, daily recognition, and above all, a foundation of true faith. Families who embraced Father Pío's complete teaching report not only protection against spiritual attacks, but profound transformation of the home's atmosphere. The results are observed by thousands of homes that truly honor the crucifix. Jennifer, a 52-year-old mother from Chicago, shared her experience. For years, we had crucifixes at home, but we lived in constant conflict, anxiety, even strange spiritual manifestations. When I learned Father Pío's complete teachings, and especially when my heart changed from superstition to true faith, everything transformed. It wasn't magic. It was conversion. Many people experience remarkable transformations when they apply the 5 signs correctly. Peace returns. Protection becomes tangible, because when you treat the crucifix with the reverence it deserves, when you cultivate genuine faith in what it represents, Christ's presence becomes profoundly real in your home. The daily ritual that Father Pío recommended incorporates all 5 elements. In the morning upon waking, you approach the crucifix, not as an automatic routine, but with conscious reverence. You acknowledge that it was blessed by the Church's authority, that it is in the place where grace can flow freely, that it is spiritually clean and consecrated. You make the sign of the cross not mechanically, but with deep intention and heartfelt faith. You acknowledge Christ's sacrifice represented there. You ask for protection, not as if you were activating a talisman, but as one who humbly places themselves under divine authority. You cultivate profound reverence, deep gratitude, and a living, breathing faith. At night, before sleeping, you repeat this practice. You give thanks for the day's protection. You renew your consecration. You keep the spiritual connection alive. And weekly, you check the 5 signs. Is the crucifix still blessed and consecrated? Does it remain in the correct place? Does it need spiritual cleansing? Have you maintained daily recognition? And most important, is your faith and reverence growing or dying? This is the promise Father Pío made. Whoever truly honors the crucifix will never be abandoned. Now you possess the complete knowledge that Father Pío wanted every faithful person to know. Not partially, not superficially, completely. The 5 danger signs, the 5 corrections, the complete protocol of spiritual protection. But here's something Father Pío always emphasized. Knowledge without action is useless, and action without urgency is dangerous negligence. So right now, not tomorrow, not next week, now, go to your crucifix and assess each of these 5 signs. Was it blessed by a priest? Is it in the correct place, in a position of reverence? Was it spiritually cleansed in the last year? Do you recognize it daily with prayers and attention? And above all, do you have true faith and genuine reverence for what it represents? Don't let another day pass with potential spiritual danger in your home. Father Pío's warnings weren't suggestions. They were essential protections based on decades of spiritual battle and supernatural discernment. You now possess the 5 signs that transform a common crucifix into a spiritual fortress. Priestly blessing, reverent placement, spiritual purity, daily recognition, and true faith. Each element works together to create the complete protection that Father Pío witnessed in thousands of homes. This is just one sacred object about which Padre Pío shared profound insights. Throughout his decades of intense spiritual experience, he revealed numerous symbols, practices, and protections. In our next revelation, I'll unveil his critical warnings about another sacred element found in nearly every Catholic home, an item 90% of people unknowingly use in a spiritually perilous manner. If you don't want to miss these critical protections, if you want to continue learning how to transform your home into a true spiritual sanctuary, subscribe to the channel now. Turn on notifications, because these aren't just interesting information. They are protections that can completely change the spiritual atmosphere of your life. Leave a comment now saying which of the 5 signs you identified in your home. Your experience can help other families recognize the same dangers. And if all 5 signs are correct in your home, share your transformation story. Others need to know that this protection is real and works. Share this video with those you love, because someone close to you may be living with a crucifix that, instead of protecting, is leaving their home spiritually exposed. You can be the channel that brings this vital protection into another family's life. The crucifix in your home was intended to be a powerful conduit of Christ's grace and presence, not merely an amulet or a decorative item, but a spiritual fortress providing your family with genuine, profound protection. May Padre Pio's intercession envelop your home with divine peace that stems from righteous actions. You are now equipped with knowledge, act with purpose and urgency. Protect your home today. May God bless you and your family.